Most lean-tos are open, but not this one. A 30x40 tubular metal building with a fully enclosed lean-to for storage and flexibility. Stick around as we show you what it took to build, what it costs, and how you can save on a build like this one. Welcome back, Pack. Ed here once again for another awesome tubular metal building. This one, all the way in Waxahachie, Texas. Our client needed more space. His old setup just wasn't cutting anymore, and he wanted a 30x40 shop that could serve as a garage and storage space. The client also wanted enough space to eventually add a car lift inside. On top of that, he wanted an enclosed lean-to, the perfect spot to keep his lawn equipment safe and out of that Texas weather. That's where WolfSteel came in. He found us on Google and connected quickly with David and Jane from our dream team, and the process kicked off. Before we could break ground on this building, we had to deal with the first challenge, the HOH. Yes, 3 letters that can be very daunting, but not for our client. Our client was located in a new subdivision. Now, just because you're in a new subdivision doesn't always mean you'll have an HOH, but in this case, our client did. HOHs usually mean the neighborhood is kept up, the community has a uniform look, and property values are protected. For this client, the HOA originally had a rule that only allowed red iron buildings, and the reason behind that was because of strength. But thanks to David, who might as well be a full-time negotiator, we got them on board with a tubular option. He explained that our tubular buildings can be upgraded from our standard 29 gauge panels to 26 gauge panels, and from our standard 14 gauge framing to a 12 gauge framing, a heavier duty frame that adds strength and durability. The 26 gauge panels aren't just stronger, they're great against Texas hail. And here's something worth remembering. When it comes to gauges, the lower the number, the thicker the material. That's why 26 gauge panels are stronger than the 29 gauge. In fact, they're about 25% thicker, giving you a tougher, longer lasting exterior. Once the HOH heard those specs, they gave the green light and approved it for permitting. But that wasn't the end of it. We then had to go through another hoop, permitting. Thankfully, this part wasn't too extensive. The city required us to submit an application along with a site plan showing the property lines, easements, existing structures, and of course, where the new building would sit. And here at WolfSteel Buildings, we do offer permitting services for our clients. It does come with an additional fee, but if you don't want to deal with all that paperwork and red tape, we can handle the process for you. Clients may also choose to pull their own permits, since requirements can vary depending on location. So always check your local regulations for that. For this project, the HOH and permitting process took about a month, starting in early May and finally getting approval in early June. With permits in hand, it was finally time to turn our attention to the site itself. And right away, we knew this was going to take a lot of work. The pad was sitting about 20 inches off level, which meant it needed a good amount of leveling before we could even think about pouring concrete. To get it right, we hauled in around 30 yards of select fill, raising the pad about 46 inches in the front and nearly 24 inches in the back. The elevation change meant one more thing. In the back of the building, we had to dig 36-inch perimeter footings to make sure we reached solid ground. Now, while we're doing all this, the client had another project happening at the same time. Their pool was being dug out. And honestly, the timing couldn't have been any better. All that dirt coming out of the pool, we were able to use it for the building pad, which worked out perfectly. Site prep may not look flashy, but it's one of the most important steps of the entire build. One wrong calculation here can set a domino effect that can cause problems all the way down the line. Get it right, and you got a solid start. Get it wrong, and you'll be chasing issues for years. Once the site was prepped, it was time to move into the concrete phase, the foundation of it all. For this project, the main slab measured 30x40 with 3 inches all around, 4 inches thick, tied together with 12x18 perimeter footings in the front and 12x36 footings in the back to hit that undisturbed soil. Those extra 3 inches come from the 1.5 inch notches we include on every side of the slab. Every WolfSteel foundation has notches for the doors and sheet metal, and that's not just a nice detail. It's the reason we started doing our own concrete. Too often, buildings would leak because the slab crew and the framing crew weren't in sync. By notching everything to match the building design, we help seal the base and stop water seepage before it ever becomes a problem. Per our WolfSteel concrete standards, we also added internal footings, a vapor barrier, and control joints every 8 to 12 feet. The lean-to slab also measured 10x15, poured to the same specs. It's strong 4 inches thick, reinforced with perimeter footings, vapor barrier, and control joints. The client planned on adding a car lift inside, so he got with James, our permitting and planning manager. But let's be real here. James is basically our resident car nerd, the guy who knows lifts better than most folks know their own trucks. For this project, he worked with the client to add 2 custom concrete squares, each 1x4x12, designed to properly anchor the lifts that the client chose. This is a good reminder that WolfSteel doesn't just personalize your building, we personalize your concrete too. Whether it's car lifts, heavy machinery, or anything else you plan to put inside, we can design your slab to handle it all. Finally, the client put his own touch on the project by adding a driveway and sidewalk. That all together really gave the slab a great look. After about 10 days of curing, the slab was ready and it was time to bring the building to life. By this point, we had rolled into July, and the building phase was underway. Every component for this project was fabricated at our WolfSteel shop in Weatherford, Texas, then delivered to the site for assembly. Here at WolfSteel Buildings, we are a direct manufacturer of tubular buildings. That's the advantage of our WolfSteel fabrication. This shot was built 30x40 with a 12-foot leg height, 12-gauge galvanized square tubing, which is also an upgrade from the standard 14-gauge. The roof pitch was set at a 312, a perfect balance that sheds water while keeping the structure sleek. We used 26-gauge panels throughout, including vertical panels on the enclosed lean-to, which is a big step up from the standard horizontal siding on our tubular buildings. To support those vertical panels, we installed vertical girts across the framing. Those girts act like the backbone for the siding, tying everything together and giving the building extra rigidity against wind and weather. And now for one of my favorite parts of this project, the lean-to. The client added something we're starting to see more of, and honestly, I think it looks great. Enclosing the lean-to. This lean-to measured 10x15 with a 9-foot high side and a 7'4" low side. By enclosing it, he gained valuable storage space while keeping the overall footprint compact. It's a perfect example of how customizable WolfSteel buildings are. Whether you want an open bay, a porch-style cover, or an enclosed room, we can make it happen. With the building framed and enclosed, the client wanted to take it one step further by adding insulation. For this project, he went with 1-inch spray foam on the roof and walls, and to really polish it off, he had the foam painted in ice gray, giving the interior a clean, finished look that ties everything together. It's upgrades like this that turn a simple metal building into a space you can actually use year-round. Now let's talk about the details that make this building complete. Starting off with the doors. The client went with a 16x10 overhead door in a residential short carriage style, finished in white and equipped with a door opener on standard tracks. On the side, we installed an 8x8 rolled-up door, also in white, paired with a brush seal kit to help block dust, drafts, and pests. For access, the building includes two 36x84 steel walk-in doors, sturdy and secure, along with four 30x53 double-pane windows in a white that brings in natural light while keeping the building energy efficient. To finish out the exterior, we tied everything together with gutters and downspouts. They don't just complete the look, they protect the foundation by channeling water away from the slab and preventing erosion or pulling around the building. The color scheme is a Quaker gray on the roof, light stone on the walls with white trim, gutters, and downspouts for a clean, sharp look that stands out while still being practical. What started as a simple garage and storage idea turned into a space built with purpose, functional enough to handle daily use and personalized enough to reflect the client's vision down to the smallest detail. Now here's the part that everybody wants to know, the total cost. The building came out to that number includes everything. The building itself, the concrete foundation, doors and windows, gutters and downspouts, spray foam, labor, materials, delivery, and tax. Keep in mind, the price is only valid for 5 days after the posting of this video and may vary depending on your location. Now, I know some of you are probably wondering, how could I save on a building like this? Well, we've got you covered. If you went with the 29-gauge panels instead of the 26-gauge, go with the 14-gauge tubing instead of the 12-gauge, you could still do the 1-inch spray foam, but keep it standard yellowed instead of painting it. And instead of vertical setting, you could run horizontal panels. If you were to make those changes, the final cost would be... So technically, that is close to $13,000 in savings, which again plays a big factor when wanting to save on costs for a tubular metal building. At WolfSteel, transparency in pricing is a big deal to us. That's the whole reason we make these videos, so you can get the inspiration from real projects while also seeing how the numbers change depending on the options you choose. Because at the end of the day, we don't just build structures. We build solutions that fit the way people live, work, and grow. Now, if you enjoy this building, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and drop us a comment whether it's the type of project you'd like to see next, or if you'd want me to do more videos in this style. Who knows? Your dream metal building could be the next one we bring to life.